Hear our plea. Make our land a place to be. Let the warlike shield his sword. Still all vices in the land. Grant your rule, O Prince of Peace, that our state may ever be peaceful ever, warring never. Let your will, O God, forever reign. Amen. The House is hereby called to order. Honourable members, you're welcome to today's plenary. I want to sincerely thank you, my dear colleagues, for coming out of your recess to honor this duty call. Not minding the fact that we have not had a recess since the inauguration of the 7th Assembly. This has demonstrated your love and commitment to the progress and development of Akwa Ibom State. It has also shown importance and premium that you attach to this all-important session. That will consider the 2022 appropriation bill to be presented shortly by His Excellency, the Governor of Adia State, His Excellency, Governor Udom Emmanuel. Let me specifically thank management and staff and members of staff of the Assembly for their hard work, commitment, dedication of duty. Our unprecedented mark of achievement in the area of lawmaking, oversight, and representations are results of this unwavering support. I implore us all to continue in this light and make the government of Adia State proud of us. I welcome you once again back from recess and pray that stress would not come your way as we all join to set our state in the path of sustainable growth and development. God bless you all. Honourable members, before you, the voting proceedings of Thursday, the 7th of October, 2021. Members can go to and make corrections, if any. In the absence of any correction, a member can move for adoption of voting proceedings. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Once again, my name still remains Right Honorable Tweko Emmanuel Ekpeyombasi, speaking for the good people of Ini State constituency. Mr. Speaker, after going through the vote of proceedings of Thursday, October 7, 2021, Mr. Speaker, being that I was physically present, and everything here is a true reflection of what transpired in these hollow chambers, I hereby move a motion for the vote and proceeding to be adopted.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. I am the Right Honorable Otwe Gongse, and I speak for the good people of Una State constituency, including His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State. The Speaker, I rise to second the motion assembly moved by my brother colleague, member Ini. I so second.
Thank you, honourable member. The motion has been moved and duly seconded that this House will adopt the voting proceedings of Thursday, the 7th of October, 2021. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the voting proceedings of Thursday, the 7th of October, 2021 is hereby adopted. Our next business.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. It is time for us to take a message from the Governor if we have any.
Clerk, act accordingly. If there's
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, we have 3 messages from the Governor. I'll read.
Go ahead.
Number 1 is reference GSU/AKS/S/104/volume 10/61. It's dated 22nd October 2021. It's addressed to the Right Honourable Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Rodoma Avenue, Yo. Dear Mr. Speaker, sir. Caption: Presentation of 2022 estimates and appropriation bill to Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. Pursuant to Section 121 sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and Order 7 Rule 2 of the Standing Orders of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, I hereby notify the Honourable Speaker and members of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly of my intention to appear before the House and present the 2022 estimates and appropriation bill as follows. Date: Monday, 25th October 2021. Time: 4 p.m. prompt. Please accept the assurances of my highest regard. It's signed by Udom Emmanuel, Governor, Akwa Ibom State. Number 2 message is reference GSU/AKS/S/104/S.1/volume 2/944. It's dated 22nd October 2021. It's addressed to the Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Udoma Avenue, Yo. Mr. Speaker, sir. Caption: Submission of 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework (MTF) and fiscal strategy paper. I write to forward the 2022 and 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for your information and necessary action. Please acknowledge receipt. It's signed by Udom Emmanuel, Governor, Akwa Ibom State.
Sir, is that the 3rd message? All members, you've all read the messages from the Governor. Still have number 3? We'll go to the 3rd one. I think after the motion will be moved to receive all the 3 messages at once.
The 3rd message is reference GSU/AKS/S/104/S.4/volume 1/401. It's dated 21st October 2021. It's addressed to the Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Uyo. Dear Mr. Speaker, sir. Caption: Request for the House of Assembly resolution authorizing the state government to accept a bridging finance facility of 18.74 billion naira from the federal government. The House of Assembly is hereby invited to note that the federal government of Nigeria has made available a bridging finance facility to the tune of 656.1 billion to the 35 states of the Federation to cushion the effect of repayment of the other federal government intervention facilities by the state government. This amount translated to equal amount of 18.74 billion to each state, to each of the beneficiary states. The Honourable House of Assembly is hereby requested to pass a resolution authorizing the state government to take the benefits of this facility and obtain the bridging finance facility of the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria under the following terms. Amount of facility: 18.746059,992.57 billion. Mode of disbursement: six tranches. Interest rate 9% per annum. Moratorium 2 years. repayment mode, monthly, security, ISPO. In consideration, the House may wish to note the flexibility and the favorable terms of the bridging finance facility, and therefore encourage the state government to take the benefit by passing a resolution authorizing the state government to take the bridging finance facility. It's signed by Udom Emmanuel, Governor, Akwa Ibom State. These are the messages, sir.
Thank you, Clerk. All members, you've all heard the messages from the Governor. Can a member move a motion for us to receive the 3 messages for further legislative consideration? Member representing Nseretai.
Thank you, Mr. Walking Speaker. My brother, Mark, said is my name, speaking for the good people of Nseretai State Constituency, the Center of Unity. Mr. Speaker, having listened to the messages from His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, as read by the clerk of this House, I hereby move a motion that the 3 messages as read be received by this honorable House for further legislative action. I so move.
Any seconder? Member representing Rev. for Oruko.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. My name remains Right Honorable Akwa Ibom. I speak for the good people of Rev. for Oruko State Constituency. I rise to second the motion officially moved by member representing Nseretai. As a second.
Thank you. Other members, the motion has been moved and duly seconded that this House to receive the messages from the Governor for further legislative consideration. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. According to the messages as read by the clerk are duly received for further legislative consideration. I'll go to the messages again. They are heading. Message number 1, presentation of 2022 estimates through appropriation bill for Akwa Ibom House of Assembly. This will be considered today, but after we might have ushered in His Excellency to do the proper presentation. Number 2, the 2022-2024 medium-term framework and fiscal strategy paper. I will refer this to Joint Committee on Appropriation and Finance and Economic Development and Planning for scrutiny and to report back to the House within 1 week. Request for the House of Assembly resolution authorizing the state governor to accept a bridging finance facility of 18.74 billion from the federal government. This particular resolution, I will yield the floor to members for comments. I'll call on the leader of the House to lead on the debates.
Right, Honourable Speaker, my very dear colleagues, once again, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to lead a debate on this request from the Governor. As read by the clerk, this particular request is born out of the fact that the federal government of Nigeria, having considered the dwindling finances of the states, particularly those states who benefited from the first tranche of payment of loans when COVID-19 started, and their inability to pay salaries in their states, have come out with this facility. It is a loan that is going to be given to all the states of the Federation at equal sum, equal repayment period, equal moratorium period, and even equal interest rates. The interesting part of it, Mr. Speaker, is that this loan facility, as I may call it, is to last for the 30 years repayment period. 30 years repayment period. And there is a period of grace within which the states will start to pay. The moratorium period is 2 years, and the interest rate for this facility is 9%, single digits. And of course, it's going to be tied to our allocation from the federal government when the repayment period begins. It's important for us to state that we have the need to ensure that finances that are this free, that come from the federal government, are tapped into to also help us to facilitate the completion of the ongoing projects in the state. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want us to note that during the COVID-19 loans that were given to states or the Federation, Akwa Ibom did not benefit from it. We did that because we were sure that we can cope at that period with the skills that the governor employed without looking for any facility anywhere. This one, I can say for free, that is almost free. Any loan facility that the federal government is giving for 30 years period is almost a free loan. And it's important that we tie into it and get this one. It's clear to my mind that within 30 years, it may happen the way the Paris Club thing happened, and those days are forgiven. So if we do not benefit from it, even when the loans were forgiven, we would not have the opportunity of being forgiven not to pay. So my advice and my prayer, Mr. Speaker, and I beg my colleagues to toe this line, is for us to buy into this program, get this 18 billion, which is going to be paid to us at equal installment of 3 billion every month for the next 6 months, and get this thing to facilitate the completion of most of the projects we have in Akwa Ibom State. I can say again that this appeals to me as a gift from federal government, because for 30 years, I'm not sure how many of us will be available to repay this one. So for me, I think that is good enough for us to tie into it. Again, the interest rate is very fantastic, 9%. So I see this one as a gift, and I want to beg members to consider a quick resolution to be given to the governor to quickly run to Abuja and bring this money back to Akwa Ibom State. That's my prayer, sir. Thank you.
Deputy Leader of the House.
Respectfully, the Right Honourable Speaker, and Nephew Dennis is my name, and I represent the wonderful people of Eastern State constituency in this hollow chamber. Yes, Speaker, I listened to the leader of this honorable house, the man who is in charge of government business. He has covered the ground. And I was looking at all the members, and they were all nodding their heads. The Speaker, there's no comment to make here. He has said it all, that is free. So what are we going to comment? I'd rather appeal that if there's anyone that is opposing this, message that's coming in from the governor, he should say so. But I don't think there's going to be any counter motion or counter idea as far as this very noble presentation and message from the governor is concerned. So I urge you so that we go and do some other thing, as he said, so that the governor can run to Abuja and obtain it immediately. My submission, sir.
Okay, Deputy Leader, thank you for your submission. You can go ahead and move a motion that the resolution should be made for the governor and the state government to accept the bridging finance facility of 18.74 billion from the federal government.
Respectfully, the Right Honourable Speaker, may I move that the message from the governor concerning and having to do with the loan from the federal government, the House hereby resolved, so accordingly accept it as read by the clerk of this honorable House.
Any seconder? Member representing Isirodam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Isomo Esquire. I speak for the good people of the State constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise this afternoon to second the motion as moved by the Deputy Leader of this House. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable member, it has been moved and duly seconded that the House pass a resolution authorizing the state government to accept a bridging finance facility of 18.74 billion from the federal government. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk is hereby directed to communicate same to the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Leader, next business.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. It is time for you to take announcement for today.
Announcements. Honorable Dr. Mrs. Charity Do, member representing Ukarafun State Constituency, has invited all other members and staff to the burial of her mother-in-law at Government Primary School Nkege Ukarafun, on the 13th of November 2021 at 10:00 hours. Leader, next business.
May you please allow the chairman of judiciary to present a petition if he has any.
Chairman Judiciary, any petition?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Ekwere Victor Ekwere is my name. Mr. Speaker, there is no petition.
You have no local government chairman to bring to the fore. Leader, next business.
Madam Speaker, we are on order of the day, item 6. The first one is House of Assembly Report number 146/10/2021. Report of the Committee on Appropriation and Finance on a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and for matters related therewith. I have cited the chairman of that committee, Mr. Speaker. I may please beg you to allow him to proceed.
Chairman, Appropriation, you have the floor.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. With profound humility, Mr. Speaker, Uda Ododo is my name, speaking for the good people of Ikorabasa and Isinabulu. Mr. Speaker, I'm upstanding here to present the reports of the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation on a bill for a law to provide for the management of funds accruing to the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Akwa Ibom State and for other matters connected therewith, presented to this House on Monday, 25th October 2021. Introduction. At the sitting of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly on Thursday, August 12, 2021, a bill for a law to provide for the management of funds accruing to the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Akwa Ibom State and for other matters connected therewith was read the first and second time and committed to the House Committee on Finance and Appropriations for further legislative work and to report back to the House soon. Procedure. In view of the importance of this bill, the committee sent out letters to all relevant MDAs in the state and other stakeholders for their memoranda and participation in the public hearing that the committee held on Wednesday, June 1st, 2021. The recipients of the letters included the State Accountant General, the Honorable Commissioner for Finance, the Clerk of the Akwa Ibom State House Assembly, the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Development and Ibom Deep Seaport, the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, the Chairman, Akwa Ibom State Internal Revenue Service, the Chairman, Algon, Akwa Ibom State Branch, the Akwa Ibom State Assembly Service Commission, the Chairman, State Branch of Nigerian Labour Congress, the Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Uyo Branch, the Head of Service, the Secretary to the State Government, the Chairman of Trade Union, Akwa Ibom State, the Coordinator, Civil Liberties Organization, Akwa Ibom State, the Executive Director, Policy Elite. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, almost all the invitees attended the public hearing and made input through oral presentations and memoranda. Observations. The committee observed that, 1, the passage of this bill into law will, among other advantages, allow the various tiers of government to be independent in the areas of their finances and provide a framework for judicious management of the money accruing to the State House of Assembly and Assembly Service Commission from the Consolidated Revenue Fund on the implementation of financial autonomy. 2, the bill required intensive negotiation and consultation among three arms of government, especially the executive arm, for an acceptable component of the bill to arrive at. The harmonized bill is attached on this report as a committee bill. Recommendation, Mr. Speaker. The committee recommends that the bill attached here to be adopted by this Honorable House for third reading and same passed into law. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, on the strength of the extensive work done by the committee, we urge this Honorable House to pass this bill as encapsulated in the committee bill attached hereto into law. On behalf of the members of the House Committee on Finance and Appropriations, I wish to thank the sponsor of this bill. I thank the Honourable Speaker for the opportunity given us to do our work effectively and judiciously. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, I so submit. Mr. Speaker, if I have your leave, I'll proceed to lay this report and the bill before you.
Act accordingly.
Thank you.
Can a member move a motion for the House to receive the report for further legislative action? Member representing Ibesipo Asutan.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker. I still remain in my honor. My name is Anieka Nyonko, conveyed by the mandate of the people of Ibesipo Asutan to this hallowed chamber. Mr. Speaker, having heard the report as laid before this House by the Chairman, House Committee on Appropriation, I hereby move that that report be received by this Honourable House for further legislative action.
Any seconder? Member representing Okanafun.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My name is Honourable Dr. Charity Do. I speak for the great people of Okanafun State Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I rise to second the motion. As every member in the city, I so second.
Thank you. Honourable member, the motion has been moved and duly seconded that this House to receive the report of House Committee on Appropriation and Finance on a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and other related matters for consideration. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The report is accordingly received by this House. Leader of the House, please move a motion for the House to dissolve into the Committee of the Whole and consider the reports.
Right Honourable Speaker, members of the House, I move that we rely on the provisions of Article 11, Rule 8, Sub 1, to allow Mr. Speaker to leave his exalted office and come down to chair the Committee of the Whole as chairman, while the mates be lowered, so that we can consider the report just presented. I so move.
Deputy Leader of the House.
Respectfully, the Right Honourable Speaker, may I, with your leave, second the motion as ably moved by the Leader of this Honourable House.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The motion has been moved and duly seconded that this House do dissolve into the Committee of the Whole for us to consider the report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the House now dissolve into the Committee of the Whole with Mr. Speaker as chairman. Honourable members, the House is now in the Committee of the Whole. We are going to consider the report of the House Committee on Appropriation and Finance on a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and other related matters. Here we have only one recommendation. I believe you all have a clean copy of that bill. You will say yes because it's their bill. Let's look at the recommendation in the main report. Recommendation that the entire bill should be redrafted from clauses 1 to 21 as attached to the report. Honourable member, do you agree to the recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
Short title. The law may be cited as a legislature funds management law. Funds management law. Honourable member, do you agree with the short title of the bill?
Yes.
Please switch on your microphones. And face mask is strictly enforced. Member Ona, member Itu, and member Kate. Commencement dates.
Long title.
What do you propose, leader?
Today. Long title. Long title.
Commencement date before long title. Honourable members, do you agree on the do you agree with the commencement date of the 25th of October 2021?
Yes.
Long title. A law to make provision for the management of funds of the legislature of Akwa Ibom State Government and for other matters connected thereto. Honourable member, do you agree with the long title of the bill?
Yes.
We've come to the end of deliberation in the Committee of the Whole. Can the Leader of the House move a motion for the House to be reconstituted?
Honourable Speaker, I move that you return to your seat as Speaker while the mace is brought back for us to hear the report of the Committee of the Whole. I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, may I second the motion as ably moved by the Leader of the Honorable House.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The motion has been moved and it is seconded that this House should be reconstituted. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the House is reconstituted. Sergeant at Arms acts accordingly. House resume plenary. Honourable members, in the Committee of the Whole, we consider the report of the House Committee on Preparation and Finance on a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and for other matters and for other related matters. All recommendations of the Committee on Appropriation and Finance were adopted. Can a member move a motion for the House to adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole? Member representing Isereke Ibro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Right Honorable Usara Kwanoso, PhD, member representing Akwa Ibom State Constituency. I rise to move a motion that the report of the Committee of the House be adopted. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Member representing Surubium.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Otobong Efyong Bob, and I represent the very good people of Nsurubium State Constituency. Mr. Speaker, may I second the motion ably moved by member representing Esreket Ibom State Constituency. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Honourable member, the motion has been moved and it is seconded that this House to adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the report is hereby adopted. Leader of the House, move a motion for a bill for a law to make provision for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and for other related matters to be read the third time and passed into law.
Mr. Speaker, very dear colleagues, I stand to move a motion that a bill for a law to provide for the management of funds accruing to the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly from the Consolidated Revenue Fund be read the third time and passed into law. I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Respectfully, the Right Honourable Speaker, the motion has been moved by the Leader of this Honourable House. It is my duty accordingly to second, and I so second.
Thank you. Honourable member, it has been moved and it is seconded that a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and for other related matters be read the third time and passed into law. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, a bill for a law to make provisions for the management of funds of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and for other related matters is hereby read the third time and passed into law. This is the law of the land. The clerk is directed to communicate same to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Leader, next business.
Item 6, sub 2, under order of the day. Presentation of 2022 estimates and appropriation bill for Akwa Ibom State House Assembly by the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel. Speaker, I'm aware that the Governor is in the premises. You may wish to guide the procedure.
All members, since the inception of the 7th Assembly, this is the third time the Governor is visiting the presence to present the state budget proposal. We have in order of the day the presentation of the 2022 budget proposal by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State. In order to do that, I will call on the Leader of the House to move a motion to enable the House receive and allow His Excellency and strangers into the chambers. Leader, act accordingly.
On your advice, Mr. Speaker, I move that the mail be lowered and we allow strangers, including the Governor, to access the chamber. I so move.
Deputy Leader.
With your leave, the Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of this hollow chamber. So second.
All members, has been moved and is seconded that the House do allow strangers onto the floor of this House. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. All members, may I call on the Sergeant of Arms to lower the mace and invite His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State. I'll call on the Deputy Speaker, House Leader, Member representing Ona, to escort the Executive Governor into the chambers. Out accordingly. Let's rise for the national anthem. Quorum, please. Order. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom said, we are so sorry for keeping you waiting. Today we have exhibited that we are truly your bosses. You are welcome, sir. Please permit me to acknowledge the presence of Your Excellency, Mr. Moses Ekpo, MFR, Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, distinguished senators, members of the National Assembly, Honorable Ane Kanakpan, Chairman PDP of Akwa Ibom State. From my vantage position, I can see Obon Paul Ekpo, National Ex-Officio of PDP, Dr. Emmanuel Ekuwem, Secretary to the State Government, Elder Effiong, Head of Service, Akwa Ibom State, former senators, former members of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, leader and members of Congress of former legislators, honorable commissioners, special advisors, chairmen of boards and commissions, permanent secretaries, service commanders, chairmen of local government councils, can see chairman of Algon, political stakeholders, captain of industries, specially invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the leadership and other members, management and members of the staff of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly to heartily welcome our dependable leader and governor, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, and members of the Executive Council to this peaceful and vibrant house, one that has become a pace-setter in legislative achievement in Nigeria, for the presentation of the 2022 appropriation bill as required by Section 121 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Your Excellency, before I proceed, permit me to inform you and all here present that the General Assembly has been performing its constitutional responsibilities of lawmaking, oversight, and representation creditably well, as attested by the raving reviews and feedbacks we have received from our constituents and the general public. Over 72 bills, 51 motions and resolutions have impressively pulled through various stages of legislative engagement in this assembly. These bills, motions, and resolutions covered finance, education, health, security, audit, infrastructure, community development, traffic compliance and enforcement, youth and enterprise development, amongst others. We sincerely appeal that some of these bills awaiting His Excellency's signature be given assent. Our duties have been and will continue to be intentionally geared towards the progress and development of our state and people. The House has equally ensured effective compliance with the provisions of various appropriation laws through its oversight on projects executed by various ministries, departments, and agencies of government in the state, as well as governance at the local government level. Our members are completely in sync with their constituents. In fact, the empowerment of constituents through several fronts is a daily ritual for us. We have also made capacity development of our members a ritual. The need for constantly stay abreast with development in the very dynamic legislative practice and procedure has made this House to ensure regular training of honorable members and personnel. Your Excellency, your support has made all this possible. But like Oliver Twist, we humbly solicit more support from you as to enable honorable members and personnel of the Assembly enhance performance through more local and international trainings. Your Excellency, I sincerely commend you and your economic team for painstakingly putting together the 2022 budget proposal, which is aimed at giving life to the economy of our state through development interventions in the area of education, security, health, tourism, and infrastructure. We are certain that the 2022 budget will consolidate the 2021 budget and ensure delivery of democratic dividends to the people of Akwa Ibom State. The performance of the 2021 budget, which was christened Budget of Economic Reconstruction, is very encouraging, specifically in the areas of IGR and infrastructural development. The success story of our home carrier, Ibom Air, and the level of work at the new terminal building are evidence to these facts. We believe the 2022 budget will do even better. The recent visit of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, and the commissioning of the Dakar Luxury Estate and Tower are also a testament to the fact that the performance of 2021 budget is encouraging. This success story could not have been realized without the legislative concurrence and otherwise support of the State House of Assembly. And for to lead an assembly that will make and sustain positive impact on the lives of Akwa Ibom people. We will continue to live up to that responsibility. The House will painstakingly look at the nitty-gritty of the 2022 budget for the purpose of transforming SEM for the benefits of our states and people. As the People's Assembly, I want to assure you that through effective legislation and oversight, we will ensure that the 2022 budget delivers on its promises. At this juncture, I want to sincerely commend the media for the unwavering, steadfast, and resolute approach to issues which have greatly influenced a stable polity. It is my fervent prayer that this cordial relationship is maintained. It is only by having this very democratic stronghold that we can flourish as a political entity and create an enabling environment for improved dividends of democracy for the citizens. To the people of Akwa Ibom said, we promise not to let you down as your representatives. We will continue to be your voice, ears, eyes, and eyes in the circles of deliberation towards decisions that will better your lives. Your Excellency, while thanking you for coming, I want to assure you that we will work diligently to ensure early passage of the 2022 budget to aid the completion agenda of this administration and for the betterment of the people. Your Excellency, sir, I hereby invite you to address the House and lay the 2022 budget proposal for consideration. God bless Nigeria and favor Akwa Ibom said. Thank you all.
MFR, Mr. Speaker, and our chief host for today. Let me appreciate the presence of the chairman of the ruling party in the state, the PDP, and the entire PDP family, distinguished senators in the House. I've seen Your Excellency, Nigeria's former ambassador to Russia, Chief Assam SN, Deputy Speaker, members of the Akwa Ibom House of Assembly, Leader of Congress and former speakers. I've seen so many other stakeholders, elders of the state, stakeholders of the state who are up there. I don't want to try to mention names one by one so that I don't mistakenly omit one of those that probably I may not be able to identify from where I am because of wearing a face mask. The Secretary to the State Government, the Head of the Civil Service, Honorable Commissioners, Special Advisors, Chairman of Boards and Commissions, the service commanders here present. I've seen some former commissioners in the state that join us here. I welcome you all. Let me also welcome permanent secretaries, heads of extraministerial departments, chairmen of local government areas led by Algon chairman, a lot of other political shareholders, members of the First Family to give me home support, captains of industry, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, great Akwa Ibomites, I am pleased to stand before this hallowed chamber as I've religiously done in the last 6 years to present the budget estimates for the fiscal year 2022, rightly christened. I decided to christen this year's budget on what I call budget of redefining standards. The whole idea is that by the time we finish, we would have redefined the standards that will be followed by others when it comes to corporate governance in public service and public sector and running government institutions. Mr. Speaker, this budget is for your kind consideration and approval as required by the Constitution. I'm happy in your welcome address, you say you are going to work night and day to make sure we have the earliest, I think I heard that, earliest passage we've ever had. Mr. Speaker, sir, distinguished honorable members, before I delve into the issues of the day, I wish to commend your passion, commitment, and tireless efforts in approving the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper and the passage of the 2021 revised supplementary appropriation bill in response to exigencies arising from our deep and abiding commitment to lift further the needle of development of our dear state, and in the process, continue to change the narratives and trajectories of our growth and development. A lot of people may not have understood why we needed to come back in order to get the amendment or the Supplementary Appropriation Act passed. We came here sometime like this last year. Within the past 1 year, we have all seen what had happened to even the exchange rates, which actually made us to come back. Mr. Speaker, you've proven yourselves as dependable partners in the boardroom of Akwa Ibom enterprise. This actually takes me to what is recorded in the gospel. If you look at the first book of Moses, the Genesis, chapter 11, verse 6, the Bible will tell you that the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this day they begin to do, and now nothing to be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. I'm sure what we are presenting today, nothing will restrain us, because this is what we've imagined to do. Why? Because we speak one language. We have one language. We are one people. Let me say here that you've also worked collaboratively with the executive arm, and in fact, the judiciary too, putting aside personal or group interests for the common good of our people. We have enjoyed robust working relationships in the past 6 years while respecting the constitutional boundaries as enshrined in the principle of separation of powers. I know we in the executive arm can always count on you to rise gallantly in defense of the larger Akwa Ibom interest and do all that is proper and necessary to advance our growth and development. I want to thank you for this show of amity and accord. Before I go further with my presentation, permit me to give honor to whom honor is due, our only God, who has watched over us in the past 6 years plus, lifting us when there was casting down, showing his invisible hands when economic uncertainties stared us in the face, and ensuring that his peace reigned over Akwa Ibom state as the Prince of Peace and the one only that this state is named after. We know and trust that that same God will continue to stand by us and direct our paths as we dig deeper in the task of nourishing the soil of prosperity and growth that these budget estimates will engender. Permit me also, Mr. Speaker, to thank the good people of Akwa Ibom State for their steadfast support and prayers for helping maintain the peace and spirit of brotherhood. We will continue to work twice as hard to ensure that we secure our future prosperity today. Though investments in productive sectors of our economy, through all these, including a lot of productive sectors of our economy, sustainable growth and development. Despite the gloomy economic outlook, this administration has been able to achieve a lot across sectors in line with our initial 5-point agenda, currently enlarged in our completion agenda. Even the naysayers will admit we have done well. Without going over all that we have achieved together, Mr. Speaker, let me mention just a few. The establishment of more than 20 viable industries in the state, with more earmarked for the new fiscal calendar. We're able to do this even with the COVID-19 downturn in global economy. The increase in the fleet of Ibom Air with 2 brand new A220-300 series. We hope to increase the fleet by God's grace next year. Ongoing construction of the international terminal, which I stand to be corrected. By the time we finish, Mr. Speaker, is going to be the smartest terminal building in Africa. And also, the facilities at Victor Atta International Airport, improvement of the MRO, ongoing construction of the taxiway, and what I could term as the overall aviation development, so that we can actually steer ahead as number 1 in that subsector. Completion and successful commissioning of the 21-story Dakada Towers by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, SAN, GCON. As of today, I can conveniently say Ring Road 3 is at least 85% completion. As of today, I can conveniently also say that our coconut virgin crude refinery is at more than 95% completion. We have inaugurated Ikoroku-Ikono, 1 kilometer flyover in our state. 70% completion, at least, of that Ikoroku-Ikono, Etinan, Eket, dualized roads, handled by 2 giants, the Julius Berger and CECC. Improvement of facilities at the Ibom Specialist Hospital, and the completion and successful commissioning of the Ikot Ekpene General Hospital by the former President, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. Completion and successful commissioning of the Uyo Ikot Ekpene Road by the President of the Nigerian Senate, our brother, Dr. Ahmed Lawan. Secured approval for the development of Ibom Deep Seaport. Secured approval and commission as at today, we can conveniently say minimum of 12 companies have already collected licenses on the oil and gas free trade zone. Commissioning of Market Square at the Ibom Tropicana building. We've turned a building now to a shopping mall. Reconstruction and equipping of Ikoro General Hospital, Leprosy Hospital, Ekpenebom, General Hospitals in Etinan, Eket, Ikwitaron, Itungbang, Awa, and many more. Construction of ultramodern COVID-19 isolation center, complete with medical oxygen plant, one of the largest in Nigeria. Reconstruction and equipping of primary and secondary schools, blocks across the whole state, through SUBEB. Recruitment of 1,000 teachers for secondary schools, and we're in the process of recruiting another 1,000 teachers for primary schools, making total 2,000 within the last time I was there and now. Regular payment of salaries to public servants, pensions to retired public servants, to ensure their welfare is not compromised. We have to really take on the issues of pensions. The issue of gratuity, we are making progress. As we get money, we are progressing. And I have a firm commitment from members of my team that will defray these liabilities that we inherited over time before we leave office. We remain committed to completing major projects as contained in the completion agenda to the best of the finances available. Let me go through what I call review of the performance of 2021 budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, a total of 456.25 billion naira was approved for 2021 fiscal year, with a total recurrent expenditure of 214.80 billion naira and the capital votes of 241.450 billion naira. In October 2021, the budget was revised upwards. A new total budget size of 598.97 billion, representing 31.3% increase, due mainly to the fluctuation in exchange rate and current inflation rate as a result of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic across the globe. Recurrent expenditure now changed to 254.1 billion. Capital expenditure moved to 344.8 billion as a result of inflation and devaluation of our local currency. As of September 2021, the total recurrent revenue collected was 138.338 billion, representing 71% of the prorated approved provision for the period January to September. The sum of 207.08 billion was realized from other capital receipts, excluding recurrent surplus. This represents 81% of the pro rata for the same period under review, January to September 2021. With respect to expenditure, a total of 126.263 billion was spent on recurrent services, representing 66% of the prorated provision for that same period. A total of 128.756 billion was spent on capital programs within the same period, which represents 50% of the pro rata provision for that same period. Our capital budget expenditure is described in details in the budget implementation report, which has been prepared to facilitate your consideration of the draft 2022 budget. Operating within the framework of the approved revised budget and the limits of available resources, we have been able to record remarkable achievements in our industrialization drive, in healthcare delivery services, aviation development, agriculture, education, road infrastructure, and others. We have consolidated on the gains of democratic governance and expanded the frontiers of development across all sectors. At this juncture, Mr. Speaker, permit me also to quote what Jesus Christ said in John Gospel, chapter 13, in verse 7, which he said in New Living Translation. Jesus replied them and said, "You don't understand now what we are doing, but someday the whole world will." The year 2022 budget. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the 2022 budget is prepared in accordance with International Public Accounting Standard, popularly known as IPSAS, Akwa template. I don't have much time. I would have taken time to probably explain this a little more to the press so that they understand that accrual accounting is completely a little bit slightly different from the cash basis accounting that a lot of people are used to. So under the IPSAS, we are going into what we call the accrual template of accounting. Our intention is to roll out a manageable budget size that will help in closing the gap between the budgeted figures and the actual figures while keeping hopes alive. In the course of preparing the year 2022 budget, efficient costing tools such as cost-benefit analysis, cost-effectiveness analysis, elasticity methods, including moving averages, were deployed. So please, when you're analyzing our budget, take these tools into consideration so that you can have an optimal and a balanced assessment. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the 2021 budget was named Budget of Economic Reconstruction because it was tailored to bring the economy out of COVID-19 induced economic depression, which brought about decreased wages, low productivity, and general economic downturn across the globe. Mr. Speaker, the 2022 budget is christened, I mention again, Budget of Redefining Standards. Our intention here is to take stock of our achievements in the past 6.5 years and consolidate the gains of our achievements thus far for sustainable expansion and growth, and set measurable goals and targets that will be measured effectively at the end when the stock will be taken. The policy objectives of 2022 budget. Mr. Speaker, the policy objectives of this 2022 budget include, but not limited to, A, stimulation of the state's economy with a view to creating more opportunities for gainful employment of our citizens through industrialization and agriculture. B, economic growth and job-generating infrastructural investments in roads, bridges, renewable energy, and communication technologies. C, promotion of small and medium-scale enterprises, as well as enhancement of local capacities in manufacturing and use of made-in-Akwa Ibom goods and services to create jobs and achieve self-sufficiency in critical sectors of the state's economy. D, creation of jobs using labor-intensive methods in key areas, including aviation, agriculture, facility maintenance, housing, interministerial and ministerial direct labor interventions. E, continuation and enhancement of pro-poor stimulus packages to the poor and vulnerable groups. F, economic diversification, environmental safety, wealth creation, food sufficiency, health, and social security. Other specific objectives will include to employ ICT, science and technology as a tool for employment generation and wealth creation. To increase the internally generated revenue of the state by expanding and diversifying the state's resource base. These we are actually targeting and actually pursuing aggressively. To aggressively pursue the development of other internal revenue generating sources in the state, in maritime, coastal and inland waterways, harnessing revenue on landed properties and others. To commence the construction of Ibom Deep Sea Port and development of the Ibom Industrial City to complement government efforts in the creation of enduring structures for employment generation, wealth creation, and increased IGR. To complete the cargo and maintenance, repairs, and overhauling MRO facility of the Ibom International Airport as a way of pursuing increased foreign exchange revenue from airplane maintenance and other aviation services. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this hallowed chamber, it might interest you to know that we set a target of next year to complete and commence operations with our MRO so that we can be the first in the entire sub-Saharan Africa. To encourage the expansion of Ibom Air, with additional aircrafts to its fleet and with the expansion of the routes, we intend to expand into the regional routes by 2022. To improve agricultural output and ensure food sufficiency through the supply of improved agri-inputs, credits, and extension services. To provide adequate and modern healthcare facilities across the state and sound healthcare policies to guarantee effectiveness in healthcare services in the state. To promote agriculture to achieve food sufficiency and employment in the state. To intensify efforts to curtail the impact of climate change through erosion control, tree planting, and other viable measures. I'm sure we all bear witness to what the climate change is doing, especially within the Uyo metropolis. The policy thrusts of 2022 budget. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, the policy thrust of the 2022 budget will focus on the 8-point completion agenda, and this includes industrialization, education, aviation development, rural and riverine area development, agriculture, small and medium-scale enterprises, infrastructure expansion and consolidation, security and human capacity development. This comprehensive economic agenda cuts across all aspects of sustainable development goals. We intend to achieve a sizable number of the SDGs targets as we implement the year 2022 budget. The main thrust, however, of 2022 budget is to create more jobs for our teeming youths. Highlights of the 2022 budget. The 2022 budget is predicated on an oil benchmark price of $57 per barrel at a production rate globally in the country of 1.88 million barrels per day, with an estimated exchange rate of 410 naira 15 kobo to 1 United States dollars. In line, we just try to tie this in line with the national budget benchmark projections. The national GDP has been projected for next year at 4.2% growth rate, with national inflation rate of 13%. It is important to note also that the state inflation figure is below the national average. This is due to the state government's persistent intervention measures in the agri subsector to halt and reverse the rising cost of food commodities in Akwa Ibom State. I'm sure we have testimonies to that. The 2022 budget size. Government has proposed a total budgetary outlay of 582.115 billion naira for the 2022 financial year, as against the approved revised provision of 598.975 of 2021, representing a decrease from 2021 revised budget. This is made up of recurrent expenditure, 260.151 billion naira. Capital expenditure, 321.964 billion naira. Total, 582.115 billion. State government revenue estimates. The total projected recurrent revenue for 2022 is estimated at 273.854 billion naira, as against the approved revised provision of 260.003 billion, representing 5% increase in revenue projection for the year 2022. We have to factor in a little room that there might still be further depreciation in our local currency. Recurrent expenditure. For the 2022 fiscal year, recurrent expenditure, which is proposed at 260.151 billion, is made up of 1. Personnel cost, 70.583 billion. Overhead cost, 117.668 billion. Social contribution and benefit, 20.5 billion. Grant, contribution and subsidies, 1.2 billion. Public debt service, 50.20 billion. Total recurrent expenditure, 260.151 billion. Capital expenditure. The total capital receipts and expenditure for the year 2022 is estimated at 321.964 billion, as against the approved revised provision of 344.873 billion for 2021. A total projected capital receipt shows that 13.73 billion will be transferred from Consolidated Revenue Fund, while the balance of 308.261 is to be realized as follows. Opening balance from 2021 current account, 26 billion. Direct credit substitutes, stroke receivable discounting, 60 billion. External bank loan, 3.9 billion. Grants, 24.168 billion. Ecological fund, 25 billion. Reimbursement from federal government on roads, 15 billion. Investment income, 200 million. Other exceptional income, 15 billion. Stabilization account, 1 billion. Refunds from the Federation account, 137.9 billion, totally 308.261 billion. Sectoral allocation. The sectoral allocation of the total budgetary outlay of 582.115 billion for year 2022 is represented as follows. Administration, 132.565 billion, representing 22.8%. Economic, 347.349 billion, representing 60%. Law and Justice, 10.378, representing 1.8%. Regional, 1.99, representing 0.3%. Social, 89.832, representing 15.4%. Social and economic inclusion. Mr. Speaker, the intention of the economic inclusion agenda is to allow money to trickle down to majority of homes, families, and households in the state. Already, we have created valuable job opportunities through various programs of government in the ministries of agriculture, education, environment, special duties, works, my entrepreneurial growth program, MEGP, government-supported industries, and in the newly aviation subsector of the state's economy. However, government will inject young and able hands into the state civil service in the year 2022 to put in place a more robust succession plan in the service and reduce the pressure of the state's labor market. Education. Education, as a key component of the human capital development, will be pursued with utmost vigor, which is the reason we recently recruited over 1,000 teachers into only secondary school system. It also bears repeating that education at the primary and secondary school levels is still free and compulsory. We are still running full, free, and compulsory education at primary and secondary school level. Our children must be made ready to avail themselves of the opportunity provided by the state government to ensure that every child in the household is educated. As a matter of strategic calculations, we subscribe to a technology-based education which has the capabilities to create jobs, align our children with the needs of the 21st century technology-driven economy, wealth creation, and to promote industrialization. Cultism is primitive, barbaric, and criminal. Thus, government has zero tolerance for such antisocial tendencies in any of our schools. Accordingly, government will spare no efforts to eliminate activities in our primary school and secondary schools that relate to cultism. In furtherance of our action, all schools will be directed to set up a comprehensive security system that will comprise members of the Parents-Teachers Association, the host communities, and the police to address the emerging security challenges in our schools, especially some of the secondary schools that we're having in Uyo-Urban. We must provide a convenient environment for the law-abiding students to learn. Any teacher found to engage or give a nod or a wink to cultism will be dismissed and prosecuted forthwith. Government will continue to improve facilities in all state-owned tertiary institutions in the year 2022. Our civil service. The civil service is to be reoriented along the lines of customer-client relationship to be resilient, proactive, and highly productive. Accordingly, all permanent secretaries will be directed to develop intra and inter-MDS collaboration mechanism to improve work performance in the year 2022. Opportunities will be given to our young graduates to serve in the civil service. Furthermore, the entire civil service will be computerized with the best ICT facilities in the world. We're already in the process, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, permit me to also pause and mention that our reconstruction and also our direction on the Skill Development Acquisition Center at Ikorodidem will be fully completed before December this year and commissioned. Healthcare. Health is both a goal of development and a means to achieve the goals of higher productivity. More resources will be allocated in the year 2022 for further expansion of the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary healthcare facilities, as well as training of our medical personnel. We will invest more in the provision of vaccines against the Delta variant of COVID-19, provide more public health facilities for ease of access to health care. Government will also continue to encourage research and development in the healthcare sector in the year 2022. Henceforth, the training of paramedics and other health workers, particularly nurses and midwives, will be done centrally in a collegiate system. We will provide resources to fight all forms of communicable and infectious diseases that erode the quality of lives of our people. Infrastructure. Our infrastructure renaissance will continue to receive critical attention. I have always said, for development anchored on industrialization to take roots, we must invest heavily in land, air, and sea infrastructure. You will agree with me that we have achieved a lot in these subsectors and can be seen from the economically viable dualized roads we have constructed throughout the 3 senatorial districts. We will ensure that we complete our critical infrastructure and as contained and outlined in our completion agenda. Security. We will spare no efforts in ensuring that our state continues to enjoy the peace and development that we are nationally known for, that our people will continue to sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Our security agencies have been great partners in this regard, and we hope to continue to work hand in gloves to protect the lives and property of our citizens, and thus help attract more investors and tourists to our state. Rural development. We will continue to encourage the development of our rural and riverine areas, as you have seen us do in the past few years, so as to stem the rural-urban migration through the provision of electricity, feeder roads, and promotion of mechanized agriculture. Agriculture. Agriculture will continue to take center stage in the implementation of the 2022 budget. This is to support our economic diversification policy through adequate provision of incentives to attract private investment in agriculture, raise productivity, and value addition capacity of that sector. Commoditizing the different produce, including food crops, cash crops, livestock, fisheries, and other marine resources. Creating a sustainable linkage to other subsectors, especially in the area of hydrocarbons, and deepening the stakeholders' involvement in the exploration of abundant resources for the economic benefits of all, including women, youths, and other vulnerable groups. Indeed, we will continue to supply farm implements and other resources to women to support our Women in Agriculture initiative. Youth and sports. Mr. Speaker, in the area of sports facilities, government has provided funds in the year 2022 budget to improve sports facilities in the state, strengthen youth development centers across the state, encourage private sector involvement in youth and sports development, and provide sports facilities and other incentives to all sportsmen who demonstrate adequate capabilities. I'm sure today you can bear me witness that we are one of the very few states with 2 teams in the Premier League division of the National Football League of this country. We will continue to support our football clubs in the Nigerian Professional League. We salute our Akwa United for winning the 2020 Nigerian Professional Football League. First time ever since the creation of Akwa Ibom State. Aviation development. Our air infrastructure, Ibom Air, today is the pride of the Nigerian nation. Our goal in the aviation business is to be the best in Africa and ultimately one of the best in the world. I keep saying, I keep repeating, I keep pursuing, I keep assuring that we want to move from, customers, what people call best customer service, to what I call customers' enthusiasm in Ibom Air customer service delivery system. Accordingly, Ibom Air has placed an order for supply of more brand new Airbuses, especially the A220-300 series, will be delivered between 2022 and 2023, respectively. Mr. Speaker, don't be frightened. I'm not coming with a huge budget for that. I think our financial ingenuity should be able to craft something out of the world and create something out of nothing so that we can continue to expand and grow. That's why you have a professional in politics and a financial expert in the saddle of governance of Akwa Ibom State. So by this arrangement, the airline is fostering a long-term partnership with the Airbus, the manufacturers of the airplanes, and an announcement is expected very soon. And also in 2022, Ibom Air will commence international flight in West Africa, including some of the countries that have actually talked to us. I don't want to mention some of them right now. Other activities at the airport in the year 2022 will include construction of hangar floor and completion of backhouse facilities of the MRO at the Victor Ota International Airport. Provision has been made in 2022 budget to complete the power station and taxiway with apron at the airport. Mr. Speaker, please help me look at that, because in the past 6 years, we've not lost power supply for even 1 minute at that airport, and all we've been running on diesel. So we want to connect to the national grid to make sure we reduce the cost of running this aviation infrastructure. We are one of the states in this country that we have our own airport duly maintained and financed 100% by the state government. Hospitality and tourism. In the year 2022, government will devote resources to this subsector because we have great potentials. We will improve facilities in designated tourist centers in the state. Furthermore, hotels management and tourism board will be directed to commence immediate identification, grading, and registration of all hotels in Akwa Ibom State. Accordingly, the board will work to enforce compliance to standards by all hotels management in the state. This is to ensure safety of customers and visitors to our own state. Micro, small, and medium enterprises. Micro, small, and medium enterprises constitute the engine of growth of any economy anywhere in the world. The 2022 budget is a consolidation of the 2021 budget with greater emphasis on the clustering of micro, small, and medium enterprises for greater efficiency and effectiveness. This informs the provision for the establishment of clusters village for different vocations, including ICT, craftsmen, footwear producers, textile production, designing, and woodworks. To strengthen the MSEs post-COVID-19, the Ministry of Trade and Investment will implement the World Bank supported activities and interventions under AKS program in the state. 2022 budget implementation strategies. 1. To realize the year 2022 budget objective, the following strategies shall be adopted by the state government. Attract potential investors and donor agencies to invest in the relevant and key sectors of the state economy and undertake robust capital development. Strengthen the industrial base of the state through the acceleration of industrialization and investment activities by providing enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. This will lead to the production of enough goods and services for domestic use as well as for export. No economy can grow without paying much attention to their domestic economy. Improving on IGR by eliminating evasion in payment, wastages and leakages in collection and expenditure, and developing tourism potentials. Stimulate the agricultural and agro-light industries to boost production of local farmers to ensure food sufficiency for local consumption, exports, as well as the provision of raw materials for the industries. Mr. Speaker, I also pause here to mention that already we're in collaboration and partnership with one of the foreign countries. I think very soon, between now and first quarter of next year, this is one subsector that will provide minimum of 885 jobs immediately for our youths and our women between now and first quarter of next year. we've already engaged in partnership and collaboration with one of the foreign countries to actually get this started. We've done all the groundworks, is to commence as soon as possible. We need to also expand and improve infrastructure and services in healthcare delivery at primary and secondary levels, because this impacts directly on the grassroots. We need to improve service delivery in the educational sector with emphasis on science and technology, as well as information and communication technology. This we shall also achieve through regular training of the teachers. We will also continue to empower women and youth through capacity building empowerment, skill acquisition, and elimination of gender discrimination practices. We shall enhance delivery of qualitative and prompt service by public servants through effective intra and inter-ministries, departments, and agencies collaboration. We shall provide recreational and sporting facilities to increase life expectancy, boost sports development, and ensure improved performance of the state representatives at local, national, and international sporting competitions. We shall also strengthen performance monitoring mechanism with central coordinating unit at the Ministry of Economic Development and Ibom Deep Seaport. We shall improve fiscal transparency and accountability in all ministries, departments, and agencies with emphasis on cost effectiveness in all programs and projects of government. We shall finally adopt the principles of cost minimization, waste reduction in all government activities. Mr. Speaker, I conclude. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, let me again thank you for this great honor you have accorded me today in this hallowed chamber. You can see this is my shortest budget speech because I'm getting old. Before I end my address, let me reiterate that the thrust of year 2022 budget is to address our basic economic problems that I've mentioned earlier, such as the unemployment of our graduates and the provision of other social or soft infrastructure. We will tackle unemployment situation in the state in a holistic manner. The year 2022 budget of redefining standards will again devote sufficient attention to education, health technology, agriculture, and these are the important drivers of our economy. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, like I've said, there is no going back in our 8-point completion agenda of this administration. It is incumbent on us. We strive with every available resources to deliver on this mandate and bequeath to the people enduring legacies that will transcend time and history, which is why we are saying we are redefining standards in corporate governance. Mr. Speaker and honorable members of this House, it was Pope Francis who, in one of his speeches, made reference to a key element of governance, which I find aptly reflective and sums up the governing ideals of this present government. I quote him. He said, "Every man, every woman who has to take up service of government must ask themselves two questions. Do I love my people in order to serve them better? Am I humble, or do I listen to diverse opinion in order to choose the best path?" This same aspect was reiterated by the Italian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who was also quoted to have said, and I quote, "Mere good governance is not enough. It has to be pro-people and proactive. Good governance is about putting people at the center of development process." Unquote. I know a lot of people are still quoting the last quote I gave when I was delivering my lecture in Soka about the difference in different aspects of, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But I reserve that for today. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, sir, of this House, I believe together in one accord, as I read initially at my opening remarks in Genesis 11:6, together and in one accord, de-emphasizing our personal interest, we have shown the world that we love our people. We have shown the world that we appreciate our people. We have utilized the lean resources available to impact lives. erect lasting infrastructure, expand our industrial and productive base, attract economically viable industries to our state, ensure our people live in relative peace and harmony, and above all, put God at the center of our governance agenda. We came to serve our people diligently, and I am sure when the history of this great state shall be written, your names will be etched in gold as partners of the executive arm that saw beyond what others saw. I therefore request you to expeditiously, as you promised, approve and pass the 2022 budget of redefining standards of governance so that Akwa Ibom's story, which has become a national story, earning the appellation of Nigeria's best-kept secret, will continue to be told and chronicled in enchanting prose and verses, not only in Nigeria, but across the globe. Thank you, and God bless you all. Akwa Ibom, Dakada, Ami, Medakanda.
Bien, gracias.
Protocol. Leader of the House, please move a vote of thanks.
Honourable Speaker, thank you so much for this opportunity to join you to welcome and salute His Excellency the Governor for consistently meeting the provisions of Section 121, Sub 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and also Order 7, Rule 2 of the Standing Orders for Akwa Ibom State House Assembly, by personally laying before this House the budget estimates of the state for the last years ever since he became the governor. Excellency, over the last 6 years and 4 months, we note with satisfaction your focus and determination to change the social, economic, and infrastructural landscape of Akwa Ibom State for the better. In doing that, you have taken into consideration the letters and spirits of the law we passed here, particularly appropriation law, to ensure that you meet the demands of Akwa Ibom people. As we receive you again today, we are glad to assure you, Your Excellency, of our cooperation to work with you and to work on this budget and pass it on record time, particularly to meet any benchmark or standards set aside by world bodies on issue of finances. Welcome to Akwa Ibom House of Assembly. Thank you for coming, and God bless you.
Leader, please, while standing, move a motion for the House to discharge His Excellency and strangers from the floor of the House so that we can act on other items on the other paper.
The Speaker, advised by you, may I move that we rely on the provisions of our standing orders to allow the governor, the number one stranger, to vacate the chambers and for us to continue. I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the leader has moved that His Excellency lead other strangers out of this hallowed chamber for us to continue with our legislative duties. I so second that motion.
All members, the motion has been moved and we seconded that the House will discharge the governor and his entourage. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those in The ayes have it. I appoint the Deputy Speaker, Chief Whip, Deputy Leader, or Deputy Whip, and Chairman Appropriation. National anthem, please.